Hi, my name's Michael. I'm a teacher here at Capital Music, and today I'm here to show you the functionality of the Roland HPi-50e. First, we'll start out by pushing the power button. We'll give it a few seconds to boot up. You notice the composers in the background don't come with the piano. Alright, so our initial song's loaded up, and we're ready to get started looking at all the functions that this Roland HPi-50 has to offer. We'll start with the volume knob. Fairly straightforward. The speakers can get quite loud. We're just going to work our way over to the right. So we'll start by pushing our ambience brilliance button. When it's lit up, that means that it's active. So any settings that you have adjusted here are only going to work if that button is lit up. Now if we move to the right with our arrow buttons in the center of the piano, we can give ourselves a richer tone on the piano. Pardon the missed note. Let's try again. And to give you a sound difference, let's go ahead and make it more plain. As you can tell, it sort of muffles the sound just a little bit. We can also change our brilliance, make it brighter, a little tingier, or we can make it more mellow. So this is just to adjust to your playing style. If you like it a little more plain and mellow, these are the settings for you. Let's go ahead and take that off, and we'll move over to Key Touch. Key Touch is also a way for you to be able to customize the piano to your needs. We can make our Key Touch a little lighter. For some of you sensitive players out there, or if you're heavy-handed, we can make the Key Touch heavy. And this is going to take a little bit more velocity to get sound out of the piano. Alright, moving on, we'll go to Transpose. Again, this is a fairly straightforward function. Here we can just change the transposition of our piano. Really makes things easier for vocalists if you're accompanying, and makes it much easier for you so you don't have to transpose yourself. Alright, moving on is the twin piano function. This is going to split the piano into two different pianos for duets on a single piano. Notice the split point's right past C4, and there's our piano split. It's fun to play around with. Alright, moving on. Now we have our sounds. We have three categories: piano, E-piano, and strings. And each one is going to bring up a different category on our Digiscore. So here we have piano. We have lots of different types. I believe that there's over 500 different samples and sounds built into the Roland HPi-50e. We have a harpsichord sound. We have piano strings, which is one of my favorites. Little layered strings underneath within a single sound. Now all of these are really fun to explore. You're welcome to cycle through them. I'm just going to show you a few demos of the initial ones of each tone. And now it brings us to our general where we have so many sounds. So feel free to explore any of these. Alright, next we'll push our lesson button. On our score, this is going to bring up a variety of options, and there's a lot of different doors to open in this category. Let's start with the top left one, Wonderland. Here we have a set of games and just some listening apps that we can look for. Moving on, we have flashcards. Here we can listen to sounds and so forth, and we'll get more into this in a different section. The scroll game is also very fun, similar to Guitar Hero if you're familiar. It's going to stream some notes vertically onto the piano, and you just sort of play along. At the end it will grade you, but since we've cut it short, we won't see that happen. Let's go into our lesson. Let's look at music learning. Here we have a lot of different things that we can do. Here it's going to give us a note, and it shows us where it is. So for the beginners, we can see that it's C. We'll play it, and it'll respond appropriately. A very interactive flashcard exercise. Alright, next we're in visual lesson. Now we have a list of songs here. Let's go ahead and do Clair de Lune. Now what we have here is a score, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just play it as our red ball bounces each beat. Now notice as I play, some blue notes come up underneath the score, and these are the notes that I'm playing. Since I'm recording with one hand, I can't play the left hand. You'll just see the right hand going. Now I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. And what it does is it ranks how many notes I've hit right with pitch, and then how well I hit the notes on beat with rhythm. Next up is medal collection. We have lots of different exercises that we can choose from. Let's just pick some Bergmuller first, just to demonstrate what we have here. Now each one of these we complete, it gives us a specific medal based on how well we've done. So, as we get better and better at our different exercises, we can then have something to show for that and know which ones we've completed with our medal collection. Pretty interesting practice app built into the piano. One more, and here we have finger training. This one, in my opinion, is very, very helpful, especially when you're starting out and you can't really quite hear the balance between the piano. Now the key touch on the HPi-50e is so sensitive that there's numerous levels of dynamic range. You can tell some of the notes I'm playing a little louder, and you can see the velocities. Alright, now we'll go into music creation. Here's our rhythm section. So what we can do is we can play different chords on the lower register of the piano. My timing's a little off, but we'll have an accompanied track appropriate to whatever category we've selected. Here we have an 8-beat rock beat. Now we can set an ending by pushing our circle button in the middle of the piano, and that'll give us a nice conclusion to the song. Now we have a lot of different things to choose from, different time signatures, different rhythms, from country to gospel to blues. So many cool features within the rhythm section. Now this part's my favorite. This is our 16-track quarter. The HPi-50 module here, or this particular app, supports up to 16 tracks. Here we'll push play, and it's going to play all 16 tracks at once, very quickly. We can slow that down if we wanted to, which we'll do here. Holding this down is going to set our beats per minute lower, and we can see that indicated in the top right corner of our screen. Each time I push it, we'll move down 1 BPM. So I've got all 16 tracks playing, and let's go ahead and show how easy it is to customize and manipulate one of these tracks. But before we do, let's take a look at all of our categories here. So you can see it pulls up the score for each individual track. Now after changing anything, it's going to ask you to save the song. If you don't want to save the changes, you can just say OK. It will not delete the entire song. As you can see, we still have all our tracks. It just cancels the changes that you may have made just prior to it asking you to save. Now let's go ahead and manipulate that track like I asked earlier. And you can see that we're armed, we're ready to go, and I'm going to change something in the pizzicato strings. So right now, we can hear a variation on the theme. We didn't hear the strings doing this before. I'm playing this now. Let's go ahead and call it here. I've screwed up the song enough. To do that, we'll go ahead and push stop. It's also the play button. Now as you can see, as I select track 2, the strings, and I go back, it has recorded everything that I have done. Okay, so let's go ahead and exit this. And I don't want to save those changes, so I'll just say OK, delete the song. It just deletes the things I've just changed. Here under Song Editor, we can do a lot of things to manipulate our 16-track MIDI file. We can erase, delete, insert, and these are just very easy tools to use in order to change some of the things that we might want to do. If you don't know what quantize is, it lines up our rhythm. 16th notes are spot on the 16th notes exactly. And you can explore that in detail on your own. Let's go ahead and move on. It gets simple again. Here we have our metronome button. It brings up a menu where you can change the volume. You can change the time signature and the sound of the metronome. My favorite one is the cat and the dog. That would be fun to practice too for a few hours. We can change our tempo, slower, faster, appropriate to what we're practicing. Alright, the next category is song. This is going to bring up a list on our score of numerous amounts of songs. We have some masterpieces, some very popular songs, mostly classical music that we can cycle through. Each one that's highlighted, it'll bring it up behind the menu. So now here we have our Lieber Strong number 3, Franz Liszt. Let's go ahead and push play just to sample how it works. I'm sure we're familiar with this tune. What's really cool with the Digi-Score is you can watch the notes here on the score, and the ball will bounce on the notes as you hear them being played. It's a great learning tool. It really helps train your ear to get familiar with the song. The green notes on bottom are going to be the left hand, and of course red is on top, and you can see the piano on the bottom light up appropriate to what notes you're supposed to be playing. Now right now we have an accompaniment involved in the song. Some nice strings. We can take that track out with the click of a button. Now this is going to include all the tracks except for 3 and 4 in our 16-track sequencer. Right now just the right hand is playing, that's track 4. Left hand is track 3, just the left hand is playing now. The accompaniment would include all the other tracks that we saw in the 16-track recorder. We can slow it down. So if we're practicing the piece and we're not quite good at it yet, but we still want to play along with the music to line up the notes, we can slow it down to a crawl. Sometimes it goes a little too slow and our metronome will be ticking. Let's go ahead and stop that. cool feature is our sync. As we play the notes, our ball will bounce and show us exactly where we are in the music. It will not go on if we miss a note. We have to play the right note. So I'm stopping there. I only have one hand. This part won't be possible. And it won't go on because I'm not playing the notes. Alright, let's go into our song menu. Again, this brings up a list of songs that we can select. Moving to the right, looks like we have a lot of different categories. Some very fun songs that we can kind of introduce ourselves to. Endless amounts of songs when we can load up our MIDI files with our USB, which we'll be looking at in a later segment. Let's go ahead and look at one more useful practice tool. This is the A-B repeat. Now if we look back up at our DigiScore, I'm going to push A, and that's going to set my point to the beginning of the song. I'll scroll up later, and then I'm going to push the button again, and this is going to set my end point. So now every time I push play, it will not play the entire song. I won't have to push stop, go back, and reset. It's going to reset for me. So if I'm playing hands together and I'm trying to practice a certain part, I can just loop this part, listen to it over and over again, and play along with it until the part has become perfected. If you want to stop the repeat, unclick the button, it won't be lit up, and then the whole song will play. Let's go ahead and push these two buttons together to create a split. This is where the piano starts getting a little more complicated, more intricate, but very versatile of what you can do with it. Now I've pushed split by pushing the two buttons together, and it gives me a menu with two tones. We have our left hand tone and our right hand tone. Underneath is our split point. This is where the piano will be split between those two sounds. If I just navigate with the arrow menu in the middle of the piano, I can set a different split point, and then if I highlight one of the top splits, and then I can go into my categories of tones, and I can switch to whatever I want that sound to be for the left hand. Just do something quick. We'll pick pipe organ, we'll push over to the right, and we'll go into our right hand tone, and let's select E grand just as a demonstration. Here's our organ sound. Our split point was at B3, so then it's E piano from there. Very cool way to kind of create a one-man band, especially when you have some 16-track recorded things that you have underneath that you can play by just pushing play, and you can play along with it with two different sounds by splitting the piano. It'll say split up the top left corner if it is on split, so there's no button to highlight that, but it will show on the DigiScore. The next thing we'll do is layer. We do this by pushing two of our piano designer sounds together. This is going to bring up our dual piano. What this does is it combines two sounds, similar to the rich strings and the piano we heard earlier in one sound. This will do the trick for you in two. Notice I have my strings underneath and my concert piano as the main tone. Now if I wanted to make the rich strings louder than the piano, I could balance it differently, and now I have a lot more strings. Good old C chord. Alright, up next we'll go into our function menu. Now there are a lot of different things you can do in here, so we're just going to touch on the most important ones that we'll be able to utilize for performance sake. So here you can change a lot of different stuff. They're fun to just kind of play around with. You can save your songs and copy your songs here, delete your songs. You can change the functions of the pedals as well, and this is going to really come in handy for starting or stopping MIDI files, or changing user programs, which we're going to look at in the next category. So here I'm setting the left pedal to something different. Right now it's as a soft pedal, and you can change it to do many other things. Alright, so we're going to go into user programs. User programs saves the entirety of the settings that you have on the piano at any given point. So right now we have a split, we have a certain tempo, and all of the settings we have on the piano are saved to this user program. Right now my split sounds like winds. And we've named this one This Howl 1-2. It was an old user program. Now if I push the left pedal, since I've set it up as the left pedal user program switch, it will change the user program to the next one. So while you're playing, you can push the left pedal on the fly and it changes the sounds with just the push of that pedal. So we go into a different section of the music, it's a little bit more florid, a little bit more flowing. We can change the sounds to something appropriate to that. Something more intense, we can put some horns in, some loud strings, some orchestra and brass, and so forth. So that's under function, and those are our user programs. Here, of course, we've got it set up for the left pedal, and that's what shifted those user programs to the next one. Alright, so let's go ahead and set our own user program up. We're going to push Transpose and Twin Piano together to start a split. Right now I've got tuba and flute split at E4. I can change any of these things. Let's say I need my next section to split here at C4, and I wanted to change my sound for our user program to be bottle blow. So now I've got my horns, and I've got my bottle blow up top. And what I can do now is just exit this, and I can go into function by pushing key touch and transpose. It'll be where you left off in the menu. You don't have to scroll down every time. We'll go ahead and enter our user programs by pushing right. Now I'm going to go ahead and push circle. This is going to save all the settings that I have on the piano to this first user program. I'm just going to name it something simple, just for the sake of time. Simshal should work just fine. I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to the right, and I'm going to push execute. If you see the number 1 there, that's going to be our first user program. Here's number 2, number 3, and I'm pushing up to cycle through these different ones. I went ahead and pushed circle on number 3, and now my user program number 3 has those settings saved. It's my split point and my bottle blow. So when this user program is selected, that will be the sounds that you have. And learn how to save our user programs to our piano. All you have to do is push circle to go into the menu, and you have different save destinations. I don't think you'll ever run out of room on the hard drive of the piano. Here we have a variety of different ones. We'll choose an empty one, and here we can change our user set. What this is doing is it's taking all 40 of our user programs and saving them so we can pull them up. So if we have different user programs that we have different songs for, we can load that user program and it will pull up those 40 that we've edited. Now if we've only edited the first 5, the other 35 after that will remain whatever was loaded prior to that. So even if you just have 5 user programs you want to cycle through, you can do so. For instance, here I have 6 Marios. The rest are just empty, or what I don't need. Alright, so I've got a square lead for the first Mario. Here on the last one, I've got a layer of sound effects with another square lead. And that's under our pad and synth category. Alright, so we'll exit there. Let's go and look at what we have here for our split. Here I have square lead and concert piano. And what I've done is I've split it this way so I can have the sounds of coins being collected if you're familiar with Mario, and then just the common sound that we're used to hearing when we hear the theme of Mario, the overworld theme. Let's go back into our function menu. And what we're going to do now is learn how Mario is set up, and then we'll hear a performance of it later. Now we're going to set the center pedal to play and stop. What this is going to do is the center pedal is going to start and stop our file, whatever is loaded on our Digiscore or our MIDI file. So if we made a 16-track recording we could have it start by pushing the middle pedal. I can push it again and it'll stop it. So if I have different segments where I want playback, I can just use my foot while I continue to play the piano with my hands. I don't have to worry about pushing any buttons with my hands. So here I'm starting and stopping it quite frequently. As you can see, it's very simple to start and stop our track. And we can use our user programs with the left pedal while we can play and stop with the center pedal. Alright, so last we're going to learn how to load your USB stick. So you can take from the piano and put to any other piano using a flash drive. Now we're going to go ahead and go into Song. We'll push it, and this is going to show us all the different files that we can have on our USB. If we scroll all the way to the left, just give it some time to focus here. There we go. Scroll all the way to the left, it'll bring up your USB memory. Now these are all the songs that I got off the internet, that I've recorded myself. Just lots of different MIDI files that the piano can pick up the tracks and read. Alright, so let's go ahead and go into Function, and we're going to learn how to save or songs onto our USB. So if I go to Save Song, I'll push right. Any song that's loaded right now currently on the piano, I can save to my USB. I can also save my user program. So if I set up a certain user program internally in the memory, I can now save it externally to the USB memory. Let's go ahead and save it. You can change the name of it as well, and then you can use that flash drive and take it to any HPi-50e or similar Roland products to use those user programs on the piano. It's also a great way to back up your files. Alright, so you witnessed a few things earlier with different user programs. Mostly Mario. So what we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate a performance. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you step by step of how to set up everything for the Mario performance that you can see Carter play in the prior Tech Fest. Also, I'm going to show you sort of all the different ways of getting everything set up for the performance, and then I'll go ahead and play it for you. Okay, so first I've loaded my song, Mario, which was on my external memory. As you can hear, it's just sort of a rhythm that I've recorded. You can see the whole rest. It's going to go ahead and end right there at measure 9. So I'm going to go into Function now, and I'm going to make sure that my center pedal is set to play stop. I'm also going to load my user program, Mario. And that's going to load those 6 user programs I have, Mario 1 through 6, with all my different sounds. So, again, mistakes. There's my Mario square lead sound. And I've got all 6 ready to go. When we make sure that one is highlighted, now we're going to go change that center pedal to play and stop. Alright. Everything's set up, so here I'm playing Mario. So I'm on my first user program. And we have our square lead sound. Now this is a split user program where I've got the piano up on top to collect coins. You can get very creative with some of these user programs. There I go into a tunnel. I push the left pedal and the center pedal to start the track. So now I've got a different sound. And I have my MIDI file playing in the background. I've done it with my feet, pushing the center pedal and the left pedal to change the sounds. Now I'm going to push the left pedal. That's going to change my sound back to my first user program, but I've saved it as a third because it's next on the list. There's some more coins with the piano. Split up there, I think on B5. I push my left pedal. This is my start theme. I've got a whole different synth sound. If you look closely, you'll see my left foot go down. This is going to change the sounds back. Boom. And now I've got my synth sound back, I've got my square lead. Here we're on part C. Not a perfect performance. Got my piano split, running out of time. Let's speed things up a little bit. Now I'm going to push the left pedal here. Boom. And now I have my outro theme with my sound effects layered. So there's a demonstration of a performance that you can create with the HPi-50e. The last song you heard would be more on the advanced side of things. We have our user programs. We have at least 6. We've shifted our pedal 5 times to change to those 6 user programs. We've created a MIDI file, just a simple rhythm for the underground theme. We've pushed our middle pedal to start and stop that within the performance. That's a great example of what you can do and how creative you can get with the functionality of the HPi-50e.